Welcome to one of my favorite subjects, which is soul vision, which is the heart of your message and the foundation of all your marketing. For me, it's a privilege to talk about soul vision, and I'll tell you why. All of us have a place inside of us that is the reason we came to this planet. And I think they did something at USA Today years ago, I may have mentioned it in another video, that 76% of the people in the world wanted to know why they're on the planet. And what I love about soul vision is that it answers that question, why am I here? But it does something as good as that on some level for your business, which is that it allows you to have a foundation for your marketing, a guidepost for every choice that you make in your business, every decision, and it is a client magnet. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a minute. But first, let me talk a little about myself. You know, all of us have a place where we are hypersensitive. And when I say hypersensitive, I mean that in a good way. A lot of times people say, oh, you're hypersensitive, and they mean it as something not as good. But your hypersensitivity that comes to you as a child, oftentimes from the pain that you experienced as a child, is where your greatest gift comes from. And so I'll tell you what mine is. When I was growing up, I wasn't supported. It was, I had, a stepmother and a dad, and I lived there, but I wasn't really supported in a way that I could feel free to dream and all of that. And so what do I do in life? I support people. And so that's my thing. And it's funny because a lot of times I'm behind the scenes, even though I love to do videos and all that. What I really love is to watch people blossom. And I love to do that because it was something that didn't happen for me as a kid. Now, the second reason that soul vision is so important to me, and maybe to you, is because for a long time I could not figure out who I was. I mean, people would say I was this or I was that, but when I really figured that out for myself, it changed my life. And I want to talk about this in relation to when I do soul vision sessions. Years ago, when I used to do soul vision in a group, which was only a few times. The first time I did it, I had 28 people in the room. I did all 28 people in a shortened version of what we do in an hour session. And at the end of that 4 or 5 hours, I went downstairs to my bedroom and slept for about 14 hours, which is why I now only do it in individual sessions and sometimes in small groups. So, but what would happen when I did a group was when somebody touched that part of themselves that was tender, that was vulnerable, and was deeply authentic to them, you knew they had hit their soul vision because the room would go, oh, it was amazing. It was a miracle. And so I want to read, before I go into other information, I want to read somebody's, the beginning of their soul vision. Actually, I'll do it in a minute. So let me tell you the basis of soul vision. What I believe is that vision connects and benefits sell. So think about that for a minute. Because a lot of times people are just constantly talking about benefits. You get this and that and all that, which is great. You need that. But if you haven't connected with people, if people don't feel you and all they get are benefits, they don't sign up unless you scare them. And I don't do scaring. So if you want to really enroll people in a way that they want to stay with you and they get who you are, and that's the reason they sign up. So first of all, vision connects and benefits sell. And so there has to be something in your soul vision that actually is the philosophy, the reason you're here. And in a soul vision session, that's usually about a paragraph. It takes me longer to get there with somebody, but it takes me 20 minutes to get to that, get that paragraph done. But but it's the reason that you do it. It's what drives you. And I may have said this before, but when the economy went down in 2007, it was really amazing for me that I could never stop moving forward. And it was a lot because of my own soul vision, that I knew people needed this information, that I knew people needed to handle their money. All those things that felt important to me to get to people. I couldn't stop putting it out, even though sometimes nobody was coming. So we talked about vision connects, benefits sell. The other thing is, in a session, we also talk about your ideal clients, because the people that you work best with, those are the ones that bring out your genius, and that's what we want you to be working in all the time. I usually say this at the very beginning of these videos, but I say why I do my work, which is so that people know and trust their beauty and genius, and trust their choices and expressions. And you can start to see how soul vision becomes a huge place of trusting your genius, your beauty, your choices, and your expressions, because it's the foundation of all your marketing. When people have their soul vision, it can be on their website. It can be, you can use a piece of it to start your marketing. One of the things that I always talk about when I'm doing marketing, when I'm writing a newsletter or whatever, or a blog, whatever I'm doing, is that I have to start with something that inspires me. So if you look at a blog that I write, it always has something that inspires me, or otherwise I can't write it, which is sad for me, but that's true. The next piece is besides ideal clients, and again, remembering, by the way, sometimes I ask people, so who are your worst clients? So they really get clear about who they love to work with, and who loves to work with them, and who loves to value and pay them, because it's really, really important. The next piece in soul vision is your promises and intentions, and that's where we get to the tangible, measurable results that you create. And they're really important. If people only do a vision and it's very woo-woo, that's not going to bring people in. It's going to connect with them, but you have to do something that brings them to you, because they're going to get something. And so in a soul vision session, what we talk about is, who are you going to be in a session or in your business? Whether anybody ever comes or not, who are you as a promise? And one of the things that I always say is that the promise for me, that I can give to people, is that I can hold just about anything. You can come thinking you don't have any money. You can come if you just got divorced. You can come if you're reinventing yourself. I can just kind of hold that and not get caught in it with you. And I've always thought that was a really powerful promise. And to have somebody who can hold you and whatever you're believing about yourself, and yet, how do I say it? And yet see who you can become, is a really profound thing. And so the next piece, and so who are you? Who do you promise to be? Whether they play or not, who do you show up as? And then the second piece is your intentions for your clients, your results that you are committed to for people, the actual tangible results. So I'll give you an example. I can't promise that people will double and quadruple their income, because I can promise that they'll probably double their income. Actually, I don't say that, because if they don't play and they don't do their homework, they may double their income, but they won't quadruple it. But if they come to play, the intention for me is they quadruple their income, or whatever else they want that's important to them. What I really want with people is they're free. So whatever freedom means to you is important to me. So then what do you do with this soul vision? You got it, isn't that nice? Whatever. And then you have the honor and privilege of speaking it. And that takes me right to elevator speeches. I hate the word elevator speech. That's the first thing I want to tell you. I hate them. I mean, number one, you don't have to be in an elevator. And number two, it gives them this kind of slick, manipulative feel. So let's change that tonight. Let's rephrase that and reframe it. What you really want to speak to people in 30 seconds, because that's all you got if you're out in the world, in the elevator, in the elevator of life, let's put it that way. You want to tell them why the work you do is meaningful, and what's the one result that you're committed to producing with them. That's it. It's that simple. But if the meaningful part isn't there, the touching part, then it's you're just another person trying to get somebody else to come into your business. And I find that, can I say it, offensive. Because we are more than that. We are human beings, being with other human beings, touching them in a way that will change their lives. And the other thing about Soul Vision that I love, there's a powerful thing that happens in the session, and that is I'm witnessing you. And here's what I found over the years. So the reason I do Soul Vision, I had nobody to witness me. And what I find is that when you have that witness who actually knows what they're doing, not just somebody who listens to you, because sometimes that's not exactly going to get you to your soul vision, because there's some questions that need to be answered as you're moving through. But I didn't have a witness. And my experience has been that when people come to Soul Vision and they have this witness, call me, and all of a sudden it's reflected back to them, they get it in their body. And again, I say this in every video, in my work at The Power of Business and Style, we are body-centered, soul-centered, and business-centered. And when people get the value of why they're here, I even hate to use the word value because it gets so used, but the deep meaning of why you're here, it changes you. It changes you instantly. You are never the same because somebody has seen who you are, why you're here, and who you can become. And that to me is profound, and it's a gift. And I'm so blessed because I get to do this. But this is the gift that we all get when we're willing. And when we honor this part of ourselves, this deeper, soulful part of ourselves, business comes. And let me tell you a little story. So one of the things I tell my clients is if you want to double your business quickly, I double my business in a month and a half, double my income in a month and a half, and then doubled my business in a month and a half, and then I tripled it 2 months later. Okay, that was the original big wow that happened for me. Now, how did I do it? I spoke how I could support people from my heart. And in a month and a half, and I'll never ever forget it, because I started in October, and in a month and a half, by the end of November, I doubled my income. So let's talk about that. The privilege that you get to speak your vision to people is a privilege and an honor. And one of the things that I say in business coaching, we talk about generating income. Well, the first part of generating is gen. And it's like generating is like the first part of generous. Just think about that for a minute. When you speak your soul vision, not the whole thing, but the piece that you've decided that you're going to speak to people, or, when you're on the phone or in person or whatever. When you speak that, it does a few things. Number one, it gives you hope when you speak it to others. It gives you hope. Get that. When you're holding that back, when you're being stingy rather than generous with your vision, really hear this. I say it to my clients. They don't like this. When you are being stingy with what the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, has given you, You are ripping off yourself and the world. It's that simple. It's stingy. And when you are willing to know your vision, step into it and speak it to as many people as you can speak it to, something magical happens, and it's this. Clients begin to come out of the blue. And here's what's really weird. I just had a wonderful woman who was a client of mine for years and years, and she does an online course now with people. And she said to me recently, well, all the people that I thought were coming to the course that I reached out to, it was none of them. It was all these other people that I never even knew. And that's exactly what happens. I call people, I reach out, I talk to them. I'm very unattached to whether they are the ones who come to me. And all of a sudden, because I am speaking my vision, my resonance changes and people are attracted. That's why we call it a client magnet. Because you become, when you speak this vision, you become a client magnet. I mean, how great is that? And how simple is it? Oh my goodness. It is so powerful. So, I want to read this because it's one of the most beautiful beginnings to a vision that I've ever done with somebody. She's a realtor. And I'm just going to take the time to read it. Let me check my time. Oh, good. So just bear with me. On January 1st, I was sitting at the dining room table with my husband Walter and my toddler son Gabriel, having a celebratory New Year's breakfast. We had just moved into our house a week earlier and were starting to settle in. As we listened to the soothing sound of the gentle morning rain, Walter and I sipped our tea and wrote our New Year's resolutions. Suddenly, through the weeping clouds came a burst of sun. I jumped up excitedly and grabbed Gabriel's little hand. There must be a rainbow somewhere, I told him. Let's go look for it. Hand in hand, we gazed through the dining room window and were awed and thrilled by what we saw. A vibrant, translucent rainbow curved through the sky and stopped at the bottom of the garden path. This almost makes me cry every time I read it. Through the layers of colors, we could see our narcissus flowers and our apple trees. Oh my God, I exclaimed. The pot of gold is right here in our own backyard. Choosing where you live is not a random event. Your home is where your life force is. Your home is where your life force is generated, where you wake up to continuity and consistency. You will know that you are in the perfect place when you begin to flow with the energy that draws you in room by room. And there will be signs everywhere that this is where you need to be. Several years ago, I read an interview with Alice Walker, the acclaimed Bay Area author. In colorful detail, she described the lengthy search that had led her to her current home. One afternoon, as she and her agent were exploring a property, she walked through a beautiful grassy field toward the entrance of a brown shingled home. Out of the corner of her eye, she noticed something glimmering on the front door. As she approached, the light holding her hand out to touch it. As she approached the light holding her hand out to touch it, she realized that it was the sun refracting off a purple glass doorknob. She knew instantly that she had found her home. People aren't drawn to a house because of how many bedrooms or how many bathrooms it has. Choosing a home is an emotional process that is swayed by subtle and unexpected factors, like a rose garden that reminds you of Sundays with your grandmother, or a view that takes you back to the terrace where your husband proposed to you. Now, that was her philosophy, and it goes on longer than most people's. And then after that, she had her promises and intentions. You know, that she would, let me see a couple of them. I'll just read a couple of them so you get the idea of tangible. Listen to your needs and be an advocate. Be your advocate through every phase of the home buying or home selling process. Anticipate and prevent any problems that could arise during escrow. Be a resource for the highest quality inspectors, contractors, stagers, landscapers, and other professionals needed to support your move. Continue to follow up with you after your transition to make sure you are completely comfortable in your new home. Now, I'll tell you, that's lovely. And I want everybody to have something that feels that good to them. You know, this was done many years ago. In fact, I will tell you, I love this one so much. It was done in 1995. That was a long time ago. And yet it still works. She's still in real estate and she's still doing great. I guess what I really want you to know is that Soul Vision changes your life. It gives you a place to land, to ground yourself, and never have to worry about why am I here and what am I here to market. Never. It's over. You're free. And so I just want to end by thanking you for coming. It's an honor that I get to talk to people, you know, the people that come live and the people who view this afterwards. It moves me. Thank you. And thank you for your comments that have come in. The last thing is you can always follow me on Twitter. I believe that's Sagendorph-Moon. Instagram is The Power Business and Style. And my business page on Facebook is The Power Business and Style. And of course, Sagendorph-Moon is my personal page. If you'd like to have a session, you can private message me on Facebook, and I'd love to talk with you about it. But most of all, think about how important your life is. How important the work that you came to do is to the people that need your work. Just think about that. There are people that have been waiting a lifetime for you, and only you. So thank you so much for being here. I love doing these. I love dressing up for them. And next time is the soul of your style. And we start talking about natural marketing style, style itself, and how you work in your business. So I can't wait to talk to you next week. Thank you so much. I have absolutely loved this. Thank you.